Georges St Pierre predicts how Islam Makhachev would do against Khabib Nurmagomedov. It's the fight fans will never get to see. But it's the matchup most MMA fans would be curious to watch above all other fantasy fights. Khabib Nurmagomedov vs Islam Makhachev would be a UFC lightweight scrap for the ages, but given the former's retirement and the Dagestani pair's almost brotherly relationship, it's a contest that's never going to happen. That hasn't stopped fans and former fighters imagining how it would play out, including former UFC welterweight king Georges St Pierre, who has given his expert opinion on which 155-pound star would come out on top in a hypothetical bout. GSP stated he gives his analysis strictly by watching their fights as he has never trained with either Khabib or Makhachev. He said, "It's hard to say. Khabib might have a more solid game in terms of positioning, in terms of ground and pound, in terms of takedown. On the other hand, I think Makhachev has a better submission game. I think he's more aggressive and more opportunistic on the submission side." Both fighters are considered submission experts, so it's interesting to hear St Pierre give Makhachev the edge in that regard. The former UFC welterweight and middleweight king also highlighted Makhachev's takedown maneuver on Dustin Poirier at UFC 302. While risky, GSP admitted it was one of his favorite moves, particularly as the risk paid off as Islam was able to choke the diamond out. "One of my favorite moves because when guys put a lot of weight on their legs you try to lift them by their center line and use the golf swing so it works very well. That's risky move, it's a last resort thing," he said. Nurmagomedov retired in 2020 following his victory over Justin Gaethje at UFC 254. He finished undefeated with a 29-0-0 record in MMA, passing the torch to protégé Makhachev who has been equally dominant. Although unrelated, the countrymen are extremely close, having spent many hours training together under the guidance of Khabib's late father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov. Khabib has been an active mentor throughout Makhachev's career and is frequently cage-side for his fights offering his expert advice. Islam has been on a tear through the lightweight division, rising up the ranks before claiming gold at UFC 280 in October 2022. Makhachev won the vacant strap against Charles Oliveira in the second round via arm triangle choke. Since then he has beaten featherweight great Alexander Volkanovski twice. The Australian stepped up a weight class on 2 occasions to take on Makhachev, but was beaten both times. Makhachev's most recent outing inside the octagon came against Poirier in June 2024. He won by a Darce choke submission at 2:42 of the 5th round, and is now set to face Arman Tsarukyan in a rematch on January 18, 2025 at UFC 311. For many, including the UFC's official pound-for-pound rankings, Makhachev is the #1 male fighter on the planet.